I first started teaching 25 years ago, I started several weeks into the school year, which means that my students had a series of substitute teachers. So on the Friday before I was to begin, I went to the classroom to collect some materials so that I could go home and plan over the weekend, and a fight broke out in the classroom. But I came back on Monday. It was a teacher work day, so I cleaned the classroom, reset the environment, and I literally wiped spitballs off the wall thinking, what have I gotten myself into? But the school year was great. My students were amazing. They did so well on the end of year test that I even got a bonus that year. So at the end of the year, we're having a little reflective conversation, and I asked them, I said, what happened? You guys were amazing. One young lady stood up and said, because you came in here and you were like, listen, I am not going anywhere. I'm not going to leave you. So you tell me what you need so we can get busy because we got a lot of work to do. And she said, we were like, okay, well, we can get with that. So a lot of people today will say, but these kids today, though, they're different. And there was a time that I would dispute that and say, well, you know, every generation says that about the next generation. But today, after a global pandemic, the expansion of AI, an increase in social media and loneliness, I'm beginning to think that maybe these kids are a little different today. The author James Baldwin once said, all the children are ours. Every single one of them, all over the globe. He goes on to say, and I'm beginning to suspect that anyone who is incapable of understanding that is perhaps incapable of morality. Now, what I think Baldwin meant is if the children are all ours, then their silence is ours too. And the cost is generational damage. So I want to be clear. This is not a talk about schools, okay? It's a conversation about children. I'm a mom, and I'm a nana. And I can tell you the most powerful moments I've ever had have been when I have taken what a child said, believed them, and then used that to create change. So the question I have for all of us is, how do we adopt a sense of urgency to fulfill, as Baldwin says, our moral obligation to create a world where all children feel empowered to have their voices heard? Now, you might be thinking, I'm not a board member, I don't even have children, or I'm just a parent, or someone who sees kids in the community, what can I do? Well, I would offer everything, anytime. This is something all of us can do by inviting them to the conversations that we're having about them. Because from the moment a child is born, we start to manage their voice. A baby cries, what do? We look for something to silence them. A bottle, a pacifier, toy, a screen. Now, none of that is wrong. But I want us to think about the message that we're sending, because before children even have language, we're already training them, teaching them something very powerful. Noise is inconvenient. Expression has to be managed. And the fastest solution is silence. And then as they grow, we put away the pacifier, but we change the tools and we use language like, children should be seen and not heard. You'll understand when you're older. Stay out of grown folks' business. When adults have conversations without including children, slowly we are training them that their voice doesn't matter. Now, I know we do that out of love, but we also just do it because it was done to us. And this world is so different. When we think about the challenges our children have to face today, never mind climate change and societal and political conflicts, our children have to deal with the threat of gun violence every day. High-stakes testing, book banning. So we need to ask ourselves, have we even asked them, what do you need to feel safe here? Have we considered other ways to assess their intelligence? Or even thought about the overarching message that we send when we say, your identity is potentially dangerous, so we're going to choose the books for you. I have to tell y'all, I'm deeply concerned about the way that we have systemized the silencing of children. We made it political. We made it normal. But there is some really good research out there. For example, there was a survey given to 1,700 middle and high school students, and what it wanted to know was whether or not the use of student voice practices was effective in the classroom. And just for the record, student voice practices, or SVPs, are exactly what they sound like. And what the survey found was that if students had one teacher, just one, who used student voice practices, they had a higher math GPA, higher attendance, and an increase in their engagement over any students who had 0 teachers who used SVPs. Now, I feel personally convicted about this topic because when I was an elementary principal, I can't tell you the countless times that I would meet littles who were so excited about learning and so enthusiastic and joyful, only to watch them over the years become apathetic and disengaged. And then we'd wonder why. Well, we did that. Now, building agency does require focused effort. And I have to tell you, I haven't always gotten it right. I was recently working with the school district, helping their high school improve their chronic absenteeism. So we planned this mentor program where students would check in and check out each day with an adult volunteer to help improve their attendance. And we thought, well, for the reward, they'll get a pizza party or a certificate or their name on the announcements. And so we presented this to the students, and one young lady came to me. She was very concerned because she had a full-time job. And she was being penalized and was afraid she was going to fail because she'd have to check out sometimes or check in late. And when we were done, the young man stood up and said, we don't really want pizza. If we do this, can we just get our time back? Ow, okay. That was it. They just wanted a record. They wanted their future, right? They wanted their time. So we got permission, and it was approved. And here's what happened. 40% of those students improved their attendance in less than 8 weeks. 40% in less than 8 weeks, just because we listened. And by the way, that young lady was one of those students. We had been planning for them. We just didn't ask them. So listen. When I tell you that we need to change, I'm not standing outside the problem, pointing in. I'm standing inside, asking us to do something different. Recently, in Charlotte, North Carolina, 30,000 students staged a walkout to protest ICE presence in the city. Now that's 30,000 students coming together to have their voice be heard. When I saw that, I wasn't worried about the politics. I thought, I wonder if anybody asked them what success would look like. Because those children are being shaped right now by whether the adults in their lives take their protest and their voice as something real and something worthy of change. But I don't know, maybe the adults decided on that one too. Building agency is not binary, right? So it's not something that you pass, fail, or that you get right or wrong. You don't have to be a teacher or a parent or a board member to do it. Everyone in this room can do that right now, today. So the next time, well, let me also say, agency operates on 2 levels. There's a policy level, yes, where we have to, I do believe, have approval for student voice practices in the classroom. We should also have policy that includes student voice in decision-making. I mean, that's essential. But the real change happens is when one adult decides, I'm going to listen to a child today. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you're with a young person, just ask questions. And then listen and let them know you believe them and use what they tell you to create change. Now, I know that seems really simple, but it's not naive. It's the foundation of democracy. And all of us can do it, to show children that their voice matters. Because these kids today, they're not waiting to be saved, they're waiting to be heard. Because all of the children are ours. Every single one of them, all over the globe. Thank you.